All right, so you probably have watched a lot of videos about setup and how a lot of people set up a guitar based on the acronym train, tune, relief, action, intonation, and then noodle around or maybe adjust the nut. I don't agree with that. So this Epiphone Les Paul has old strings on it. The first thing I would take a look at is whether or not the nut slots are properly slotted, and if they're not, then I can go ahead and slot it, because the process sometimes require me to pull up the strings, and sometimes I can break the new strings. I don't want to do that. So how it works is I have a nut slotting nut action gauge in here. I'll lower this a little bit, lower my vise a little bit so we can seat this without after having to hold it. Perfect. All right, cool. Adjust the camera a little bit so everyone can see. Now, I tell everyone that the nut is basically a fret with ridges, and ideally, the height of the depth of the slot is exactly the same as the height of the frets. And we want to do that by using this to check the action of the slots. So we can do that by using the string, by fretting the third string. Now, normally a lot of people actually do this, right? And take a look. Now, you're eyeballing it, which is fine. I do eyeball that as well. But this can actually do it a lot more accurately, and there's no guessing once you use this. So what I would do is I would use one finger to fret the third fret, and then two fingers to press the strings down. And now we see a lot of action in here. And what you want this to be is roughly just bit 10. So now you have to do a little bit of math in here. So one circle here on my gauge is 1 millimeter. And ideally you want your string action here to be within 15 and ideally 10. I've seen that in some of the guitars on a low E string, it's a little bit better to give it a little bit more than 10, maybe 15. And that's about as much as I would do. Okay, and I have a string lifter in here. Okay, you can get that from StewMac or from China. I got it from the cheaper alternative, and also all my StewMac files are here. So and I color code them and also number them as well. So okay, shit, I just chipped this nut. I didn't even get started. So this can happen. Anyway, looks like I'm gonna have to talk to the customer about getting a nut replacement, which is just over here. Anyway, that's an interesting note. I will demonstrate again on a string on the string, since this nut is pretty done with, right? So again, this action is too much, right? Okay, it's all about try and error, right? So we're talking about 12 to 38. That's too much. You want it to go from 12 to 22, right? Just basic subtraction, that's all. So I take my number 5 file, right? Lift the string out of place, right? Now, I would also highly recommend you to do it from the first string if you're getting started, because if you're cutting a lot on the lower strings, and once you get to the top two strings, sometimes the tendency of actually applying too much pressure downwards can actually overcut the slots, and then you have to deal with baking soda and super glue, so which is not great. Again, feeler gauge is not accurate enough. This would take the guessing out of the equation. So we're talking about 15 to 30, so 16 to 31. So we're talking about 15. That's pretty good, but we can go from good to great by just one stroke. Perfect. And I know this is quite a bit of work, but you really want to get this right. All right. Okay. Looks like my stroke didn't do anything. I probably didn't apply any downward pressure enough. Okay. Do that again. And that's what I want to see. I go from 22 to 30 something. So I would do 10 for the higher 3 strings, but for the lower bass strings, I give it a little bit more room to vibrate and move. And that, folks, is how you adjust the nut slot, and hopefully you don't break and chip the nut like I do. But I think these are just made of so cheap material that it breaks pretty easily. So replacing it with bone is probably a good idea. And I would have fun also doing that with a lot more strokes. Generally, these plastics don't require as many strokes. Tusk is also very easy to work with, but it also means that your string is going to wear it down a lot faster. Whereas if you use a piece of bone, I think I have some blanks in here, right? Bone, this is classical, but again, if you use a piece of bone, it will be a lot easier. For this, I probably would have to make it from a blank, which I have some in my drawer, and this actually fits perfectly here without actually filing the width. I remember. Anyway, I'll probably have to do some sanding and get ready to smell like burnt hair, and trace the original nut from here, and then cut the slots, and then have to shape it again. And that's gonna be my life tomorrow, probably towards the end of the day, because I don't want to smell that smell for the rest of the day. Anyway, have fun, and any questions, leave it in the comment.